Welcome back. I'm Rob Lang and this is my game Clomper. You live inside a mechanical ladybird called a Clomper, which you control by making pipes to power machines with steam. The outside world is a hellscape, which you explore from inside the Clomper, gathering resources and completing quests. That sounds like fun. Go wishlist on Steam. Hello there. Did you notice something new about the intro? You didn't, because you skipped it, because of course you did. You've been skipping it for the past 2 years. Go back and have a look, see if you notice anything different about it. Go on, I'll be still here. Back? Good stuff. I know it looks different, doesn't it? Let's jump into all the different bits that I've changed since the last devlog. There's quite a lot. Let's get stuck in. My aim has been to add loads of machines under the floor to make the Clomper feel more alive. The first one I added was this. It's called the masher. It sits underneath the grinder. That should be as funny as, as it is. The idea of the grinder is you take the stuff that you find in the world, you chuck it into the grinder, and that sort of flattens it out. And then the masher mashes it into tiny little bits that turn into scrap, which is the resource you then spend on pipes. Most of the animations you're going to see today are done by setting rotation and position in the update. And that's because they're all dependent upon the boiler output. And given the boiler output is an integer, it just makes the math simpler. You could totally do this with keyframe animation control. I just didn't. The final things to put into the masher will be sparks, some steam, and little bits of scrap bouncing around. Let's look at the next one. This next one is called the Guv'na. The way it works is that as the axle turns faster, the balls fly outwards, and in turn they change the value of a valve which reduces the steam. As the balls fly inwards, the valve opens and more steam goes through, and as the balls fly outwards, the valve closes and there's less steam. And that's called negative feedback. Now I had to put one of these in, and that's because I did a degree in something called cybernetics, which I know sounds crazy and made up and a little bit like out of cyberpunk. And for many on the course, that was exactly the reason why they took it. True story. But the book, the original book, the dude that invented the term was called Wiener. I kid you not, his name was Wiener. It's a really good book. Musty. Have I just weirded myself out? I might have to take a pause. So that's the Guv'na. Let's move on to the next one. This one is called the Gyro. Now it's not really a proper gyroscope. It doesn't work how gyroscopes do. It just looks cool and it looks a bit like a gyro. Now the inside piece you can see is turning ever so slowly, and that's because the Clomper is currently turning. So you can get a sense of where north is, but it's not really that useful. It's just for fun. I really like this one. The last machine I put under the floor is this, the Steam Reservoir. Now, I know that it doesn't really look like a proper steam reservoir and it looks a bit weird and magical. Well, that's fair enough. I want some things inside the Clomper to be a bit fantastical and not entirely rooted in real things. And this is definitely one of them. I've had this scribbled in books for ages. I've just really wanted to make it. So a steam reservoir it is. And like all of the other machines, it changes as the boiler output increases. Here we can see the boilers sitting at 10%. Here's 30%. Here's 50%, where you should be a bit more careful about how you're using your steam. Here's 70%, and here's 100%. If you're having your boilers sitting at this for too long, then they will explode. Which keeps happening whenever I record these devlogs. All the time. Forever blowing it up. Now I do love watching these machines, they're quite hypnotic, but there's more to do. Walking around in the Clomper like this is very much like walking around on glass, which was never my intention, but I wanted to get the machines in first before I started putting in the floor. And here it is, with the floor. I wanted the inside to feel more kind of organic than purely planned, a bit like it's grown here, so you need to fill that hole in, so you've got a space over there and it's grown a bit and changed a bit, so you put a bit in there. That's how I wanted it to feel. The floor has some different styles to it. It has a brass section, it has some grates, some wooden floorboards. My only slight concern with it at the moment is it's a bit difficult to see the machines, so I might have to reduce the amount of blockage that you can see. I mean, you can see things, but I think it could be better. Most of these are polygons, except the hex shader. I've followed some instructions from Merzer, linked down in the description, to create this hex shader. It uses some custom nodes in Shader Graph, but it's not too difficult to do, and I think it looks lovely. The last thing I added was the very beginnings of a seating area. I want this to be like a living space up this end of the Clomper, and as you can see, I've got all the important things in. I've got 2 chairs and a kettle. Yes, in the future you will be able to power this, you will be able to make tea. I appreciate there's an online movement to make sure you can pet the dog, and I'll be doing that too for the fire sprites, but you will also be able to make tea, because all games should have some kind of tea making mechanic. Next up, I'm going to be putting in some more animations. You see the periscope here, when you turn it on, it doesn't move or anything, and it should do really. The other one that I want to change is the map, and the map, much the same way, if you turn this off, then it just goes down into the floor. Nah, that's not very interesting to me. I've actually designed this so it sink down into this pedestal, and then I can have an iris close over the top, because you know, irises. I'll give it another go. Oh. I'm going to do another iris. I'm going to do it. You can't stop me. I'm going to put an iris over here, and this will sink down into this pedestal, and I'll have an iris. Looking forward to that. And then a whole bunch of particles, and I'm going to be updating the lighting as well. I need to experiment with the lighting. I don't think it's terrible in here. It's a bit oversaturated. It needs some adjustment. I don't think that's going to take me very long. I won't be playing with that a lot. And then I need to sort out the inventory. Wait for ugly. So nasty. Oh, and you can see here the tool on the right hand side needs to have a particular lighting setup. Again, I can fix that. Although, I do rather like the fact that everything goes orange when you walk over to the boilers. It's just, when you're not by the boilers, it's quite difficult to see any of the pipes. These are the sorts of snags, and I've got a whole bunch of them that I need to fix. They're not going to take very long. I'm now up to 445 wish lists on Steam, which is amazing! After the last devlog, quite a lot of new people came in. Hello to you all, and I'm absolutely delighted that so many people have clicked that wishlist button. I'm not really aiming for a number of wish lists. It will be as big as it is when I come to release the demo. The demo will be ready when it's ready. So thank you so much for all your continued support. Thank you for coming and reaching the end of the video. My goodness. Do like and subscribe if you'd like to see more. And until next time, bye bye. Yes! We are done. They call me One Take Rob because it never takes me one take. It's actually sarcasm.